What's up, family? I'm live. I don't know how many people I'm gonna get in here, right off the bat, but I'm gonna take my time and slow cook things to give people a little bit of time to get into the room. You know what I mean? Yesterday was Halloween. How was everyone's Halloween? You know, I really don't celebrate Halloween, but I kind of get into Halloween, around that time of the year. I get into watching the horror movies is what I'm, meaning to say. I get into all of that because, all of that is stuff I used to do in my childhood with my moms. I was brought up, on watching horror movies, the classics like Freddy Krueger, The Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason, so on and so forth. But some of my more favorite or horror movies are the one Christine. I think Stephen King does it, and the movie Shocker. And Christine was basically about a car that got a mind of its own that goes around unaliving people. It was a crazy movie. So I'd suggest if people didn't see that, you go see that movie Christine. That was a good horror movie. And I also like too Shocker. It's about basically like a serial killer. You know what I mean? He gets caught and gets put in the electric chair, but before he does, he makes some kind of deal with the devil. You know what I mean? And he could jump in and out of electricity. So I'm a big horror movie guy. And them is one of my two favorites. But I think I like Shocker a little bit more. You know what I mean? But I didn't do much yesterday. I just chilled, and they got a new movie that I not a movie but a TV show out that I'm watching now. It's um the It TV show. They got a new one out 2025 about the clown. So I'm tapped in with that now. Uh, Peace to my sister Black Love 17. She says, I appreciate you, young voices, standing up for our black lives. No doubt, sister, we got to stand up and, protect our own people because if we don't do it, no one in the else in the world for sure as hell will. So, yeah, I'm always going to war for our FBA lineage, and I stand on business, you know what I mean? That's the way I was raised, though, truth be told, to stand up for my people and not, turn the blind eye to racism, white supremacy. But I want to get right into it, family, because I got a couple people in here now. But peace to Black Love 17. I want to talk about what kind of made me want to push this, particular topic that we're going to be discussing now, Master P, because I was watching the versus battle with him and Cash Money. But I've been had it in my mind, to do something on Master P and talk about Master P briefly because, Master P got a lengthy legacy. I don't think no one knows how, iconic and epic Master P truly is. You know what I mean? And they did their thing, no limit as far as that versus battle was concerned, you know what I mean? And Mia X came out there, put on, I think they gave her like MVP or something, she was out there spitting, but Master P got a lengthy legacy. He had, I don't know if the family remembers, but No Limit Films, P. Miller Clothing, he had sneakers, cell phones. He got the rap snacks. He got cereal, and I even seen him doing a wheelchair. Master P, our brother Master P, our FBA brother Master P, he's all around businessman. You know what I mean? And he really stands on business. You never really heard Master P's name being brought up in no mud. You know what I mean? He always had a good name, good solid reputation, putting people on. Black Love 17. I'm not into horror flicks. One reason I'm not watching Sinners, even though a lot going on seems right out that movie. Yeah, I like the Sinners though. Yeah, Sinners was a good movie. Yeah, but it's understandable. A lot of people don't like horror movies. They don't like the gore and things like that, But yeah, Master P was really epic though, family. I don't think he gets enough flowers, and I think he's truly underrated. He had those sayings, and I'm about it. He had everybody saying that. Even he had white folks running around saying I'm about it and you know what I mean? I remember as a kid I used to watch wrestling, you know what I mean? I used to be a fan of wrestling. And he had like wrestlers coming out there spewing his lines, and I'm about it, so he don't get enough credit for being, the icon he truly is, Master P. And his name was never brought up in no smudge, and he always maintained a good reputation, putting people on. And he even came to my city in Pennsylvania, you know what I mean? Because a friend of a friend, let me know that someone seen him coming through to pay, homage and respect to somebody that passed away in my town in Pennsylvania. So he came through my town, to show respect. So that just shows how solid and, down FBA brother like Master P really is, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to salute Master P, and being ahead of his time because, even with the movies thing, he was putting out, no limit films before people were even thinking about it. I think the only two that were really, doing movies when he started was like, first, our brother Tupac, our FBA brother Tupac, he was, ahead of the game, and then P. But I really don't remember people, putting out, their own films and things like that, being in films, so they were ahead of the curve in that regard. And Master P, he also, was ahead of the curve with his clothing brand. Now everybody's doing clothing brands, even content creators and, artists alike. But back in the days, everyone wasn't putting out, they own merchandise like that. So Master P was ahead of the curve, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to salute, our brother Master P, you know what I mean? But moving right along. These next two stories I got, family, they come out of B-more, you know what I mean? Some nonsense is going on down there in B-more, and we gonna get into, this race soldier, trying to run down one of our brothers, in a police cruiser. He actually hit the brother, but he didn't unalive him, but he damn sure, tried to unalive our brother. If you ask me, he was running him, through the streets, he ran through a field, it could even be seen him hitting our brother, and now he's on paid leave. He should be locked up and sitting in a damn jail cell for attempted murder and a whole host of other charges, you know what I mean? But it shows you how the system of racism, white supremacy looks out for and coddles and pampers their own, because he tried to run down our brother, you know what I mean? And luckily, another brother was there that recorded the whole thing and got, the footage, and the footage went viral. So, we're going to be walking through and talking about that. I got the audio and video of it, and we're going to play it. Fair use.
Tonight, we're hearing from the man who recorded this viral video showing.
This is nonsense right here, though. This got me really heated. You know what I mean? He tried to kill our brother, He was running him all crazy. The brother ducking and dodging. He even hit our brother, Luckily, he didn't unalive our brother with this nonsense.
A Baltimore police officer trying to run over someone with his patrol car in Park Heights. Fox 45's Keith Daniels has been following this story all night.
He joins us live now with an update from police and the community's concerns. Keith.
Well, Maxine and Kai, we've learned the identity of the officer involved in that incident, the man seen running in that video.
Good. They got that Peckerwood race soldiers, name, so, we can make sure, they're going to try to sweep it under the rug, but we on the Black grassroots got to make sure that they don't sweep stuff like this under the rug, that we put it on full display in the public lexicon, because they got a lot of nonsense going on with these race soldiers nowadays. But let's continue.
Video says the officer's patrol car struck him, and tonight, the man who caught it on camera.
You gonna hit him with the car? Yo, what the f, bro? Yo, hell no, yo.
For some, it's simply hard to believe. Look at it. A Baltimore City police officer caught on video trying to run down a man.
If I ain't have it on camera, nobody would have knew.
Slick Brown is the one who...
And can you imagine how many times these degenerate, racist, white supremacist race soldiers in uniform get away with this nonsense, to where, though it's not people around recording their heinous actions? You could only imagine.
Who captured the images with his cell phone camera. The video now gone viral.
Almost 1 million views.
With nearly 1 million views at this hour on social media.
Yo, what the f, bro?
His friend running, the officer in his marked patrol cruiser, chasing him.
Coming, Ray hit my man, like, for no reason. It's like he ain't even make no arrest for real. Like, he just tried to automatically hit him. Like, he ain't never tried to chase him or nothing. Like, it's like he was just trying to kill my man out the rip. Like, he ain't care about his life or nothing.
See, that's the problem. These racist, white supremacist race soldiers, they don't give a damn about no black life. You know what I mean? Unfortunately.
It happened Tuesday evening on Wiley Avenue near Park Heights Avenue. Tonight, police confirming the identity of the officer seen in the video, Robert A. Parks, on the force since 2020.
Good. That damn racist, white supremacist race soldier need brought up on some charges, but from what I'm hearing, he on a paid administrative leave. That's a vacation. That's a slap on the wrist. He need to be, put in a jail cell. That's where he should be, not on no damn paid leave.
His police powers.
That's attempted murder. You know what I mean? He done struck our brother. He could have potentially killed him. If our brother would have fell. Imagine if our brother would have tripped and fell. Him, hitting the throttle just coming at our brother. Our brother would have went up under that truck. That truck would have ran right over him.
Suspended now on administrative duty as an internal affairs investigation is underway. Police Commissioner Richard Worley Thursday on the behavior of one of his officers.
It is not what we want our officers doing. It is definitely not what we've been training them to do. And unfortunately, one bad incident like this sets you back months and years to all the progress that we've made.
Brown said it all started after the officers saw him and his friends standing on the block. They were told to move on. Brown said they did, but then the officer returned.
2 minutes later, he pulled straight back.
See, they don't patrol these these suburb, white enclaves like that. The police, you know what I mean? They up police force and surveillance in these, black neighborhoods. And I don't, rock with that, you know what I mean? And as soon as they see, black folks on the corner, standing, they could just be talking to their friends. They want to automatically assume they in the gang slanging drugs. That's a bunch of nonsense. In these white enclaves, if they see white people gathered on the corner, they don't harass them, jump out, stop and frisk them, chase them down. You know what I mean? That's a bunch of nonsense. It shows you the injustice in the so-called justice system. There ain't no justice in the so-called justice system. If you got the complexion for the protection, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get looked out for, coddled, and pampered.
Me and my man's walked. He straight asked my man, yeah, come here. But he never said why, though.
According to initial reports,
the individual wanted for a warrant. He got away.
The man seen in the video was wanted for an outstanding warrant. On the phone with Brown at one point.
And they could have just been saying he was wanted for an outstanding warrant. You know what I mean? Them race soldiers, they always say, he fit the description. You know what I mean? He resisted. These are just typical talking points that race soldiers throw out there, to target black life.
He says he had a failure to appear in court for driving without a license. Meantime, the investigation of the officer.
All he did was get suspended. No, I think he should be fired. Shouldn't become.
I'm in alignment and agreement with that, brother. All he did was get suspended, and they still paying him. He should be fired and sitting up in a jail cell, and not be able to be a police officer anymore because, he got a racial bias, and his racial bias is he got an affinity to racism, white supremacy, because you could bet your last damn dollar that if that was a white person, congregating on the corner, just talking, shooting the breeze, he wouldn't have jumped out, stopped and harassed them like that.
Able to come back or nothing.
Well, Brown called the man in the video with me. He says he's banged up a bit with a knee injury. Meantime, that crash ended with the officer slamming.
That brother who got chased, though, he got a hefty lawsuit. He need to seek out good legal representation. You know what I mean? I know money ain't everything, but, that kind of nonsense, the police force should be on the hook for, and they hurt his leg, you know what I mean? So they should be, entitled to, all the pain and suffering, his doctor bills, and he probably going to be out of work and things like that.
Slamming into the backyard fence of an elderly woman's home. She told me she's already received the paperwork from the city for repairs. We're live tonight. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Yeah, that's a bunch of nonsense, though, family. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean? And thanks for tapping in with me. And here go the next story out of Be More. You know what I mean? I want to talk about, where I got to look at my talking points. Just a second, family, where I was moving to my next story. Okay, yeah, the AI. They got AI out here, family, targeting, black folks. You know what I mean? Even you might think, that it don't make no sense, but even, that the hand dispensers where they dispense, like hand soaps and, paper towels, they racially, target black people. I'm hearing that they AI programmed. I looked it up, you know what I mean? To where as though, they're trained on, white folks. So, when black folks come through there, they got a bias and affinity to, dispensing soap and paper towels to white people. So, when darker skinned people come through there, it shows a racial bias to them. You know what I mean? And the same way law enforcement, they using this AI recognition to where though, it's always trained, from me doing my little homework and due diligence, it's always trained on like, white folks, middle-aged white men. So when it comes in contact with people, with darker skin, melanin, it shows a racial bias towards them. It looks out for, people with the complexion for the protection. And that's a bunch of nonsense because, here we have it, a young brother who was, a high school student, about 16 years old in Baltimore. he was targeted with this AI. You know what I mean? They said he had a gun. This brother only had a chip bag. You know, police, you know, jumped out and gaffled our brother up, and that could have ended in a death sentence for our brother. You know, unknowingly to him, all he had was a damn, you know, chip bag. You know, so they should be liable and on the hook for this type of thing. You know what I mean? Because you gotta watch out for this, you know, AI nowadays. You know, because I'm seeing the left and right. You know, it targeting, you know, black folks unjustly. You know what I mean? With the stop and frisk, you know, they say uh, just using that AI facial recognition that you fit the description, you know, and they program it with white folks, you know, so it's going to show a bias towards them. Look out for them, you know, and wrongfully condemn black folks. And that's a bunch of nonsense, you know. So I'm going to pull this audio and video up, you know, down there in Baltimore, to where though a young brother was, you know, outside of his high school, had a bag of chips, and the AI tried to say that he had a gun, which was only a bag of chips. And, you know, that's a grave mistake, you know, and that could have ended in our brother, you know, unfortunately losing his life at only 16 years old. So they should be on the hook for this. Let me find that video. Here we go. Fair use, fair use.
Imagine being able to build an app with your...
You turn that down so I don't get copyrighted.
They sent a letter.
Fair
Well,
use.
Baltimore school officials say they sent a letter to all of their BCPS families early Tuesday, a statement from school officials and Baltimore County Police after a recent incident involving a 16-year-old student, an incident that family members say could have cost the boy his life. And tonight, they're...
I agree with that. You know, we see that all too often. You know, black folks losing their life. You know, race soldiers saying they got a gun or they mistakenly had a gun, which is a bunch of nonsense. So that our young brother could have lost his life over a damn potato chip bag.
reaction to the latest developments.
Go tell him you're sorry.
Lamont Davis is sitting comfortably at his home in Middle River, but he still finds it difficult to relax when he thinks about the possibility that his 16-year-old grandson, Takai Allen, could have lost his life after being detained at Kenwood High School last week when an AI gun detection system mistook his bag of chips for a gun.
Had one boy flinched, God forbid.
See, it's racially programmed. It didn't mistake his chips for a gun. You know, it's just targeting black folks. Cause for me doing my little homework and due diligence, black folks are disproportionately targeted by this AI because, like I said, they program it with middle-aged, you know, white men to where though it's showing them a bias and, you know, condemning, you know, darker skin, you know, melanated folks. And that's a bunch of nonsense, you know, so we got to be on the lookout for this AI, you know, disproportionately targeting, you know, black folks. But let's continue.
One of them ran or dropped his phone or flinched. 8 cars pulled up with guns blazing. My grandson would have been killed on the spot.
Yep.
Dead. My wife can't even talk about that. She breaks down and starts crying.
Davis's thoughts as Baltimore County school officials.
Not to mention a young brother, you know, was a student, you know, a good student, you know, he probably was traumatized from this, you know, at the young age of 16, you know, all these damn, you know, cops jumping out on him, you know, guns blazing, you know, he ain't do nothing but just have a potato chip bag. You know what I mean? Nonsense.
In partnership with Baltimore County Police, released a statement Tuesday to BCPS families. Their findings after reviewing the school response and the police response to that troubling incident that happened Monday, October 20th. In the statement, school officials say they're committed to, quote, taking additional steps to ensure protocols are followed to prevent such incidents from occurring again.
It shouldn't have happened in the first place. Why did they allow it to happen in the first place?
I agree with his grandfather. And another thing, you know, I'm not with all this technology. I think technology is good, but at a certain limit. You know, them white supremacists, you know, they want to make everything, you know, artificial, you know, programming all this damn artificial intelligence, 5G towers everywhere, you know, they want to, you know, play the role of God and, you know, turn everything into artificial. And that ain't, you know, that ain't good. You know what I mean? Too much technology is a bad thing because, you know, they got all these damn cameras around. You never really know if you in privacy anymore, you know, everything is being recorded, you know, and that's just a way of them infringing upon people's rights, you know, with all of this damn cameras and surveillance, you know what I mean? It could be manipulated, elevated, to where though AI is targeting black folks. So all of this technology ain't good to me. You know what I mean? I like it when it was a balance, like early 2000s, late 90s, when I was coming up, because, everything was, it wasn't so much technology to where though you didn't have to, fear that your privacy was being invaded. Nowadays, you got to really, question, are you being even watched in your home, doing your day-to-day routines, because everything is monitored and recorded. You can't go nowhere without being monitored and recorded, so they really infringing upon people's rights, you know what I mean?
You have to have a tragedy to make you understand that your protocols have gaps in them, serious gaps.
Just had it like this. Alan says he was sitting with friends outside the school after football practice that evening, eating a bag of chips when a group of armed officers came charging in his direction, demanding he get on the ground and handcuffing him.
I know that probably traumatized that young brother, just eating a bag of chips. Eating a bag of chips could have, in all actuality, ended in a death sentence behind this, racially based, AI, targeting black folks. And that's nonsense.
Allen says he was told officers received an alert from the school's new AI gun detection system. The police contact seen on body-worn camera video. According to Allen, the officers accused him of carrying a gun, but after searching him, realized it was actually just a bag of chips. The AI company says it regrets the incident. Tonight,
Damn that, regretting the incident. The AI company, along with the police, should be liable and on the hook, to that young brother and his family, because that's nonsense.
school officials say part of the measures in place now to help avoid another incident is retraining of staff and a reminder to administrators to communicate directly with the executive director of school safety or executive director of schools if there are concerns regarding an incident.
Now they are scrambling to fix it. It should have never happened.
Meanwhile, David says his family is now seeking counseling for Takai to help him cope with what they're calling very difficult.
See, I told you, now they got to get counseling. That traumatized him, so he could probably get for pain and suffering. He got a whole host of, legal charges he could put on that AI company along with the school and the officers, because it was a lack of, having intelligence on, the part of all three, you know what I mean? So all three, should be liable and on the hook. The school, the video surveillance, and the cops, for rolling up on our brother in full force, just holding the chip back.
Moments. At Baltimore County School Headquarters, Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Hey,
That's nonsense, though. But let me see what else I wanted to touch on, family. Here we go. I'm gonna have to get ready to, shift gears and move over to TikTok for these next couple stories, because I couldn't find them over here on YouTube. So I want to talk about, all of these damn, Jamaican tethers, mad and, trying to dump the blame on the FBAs, because what's going on with them hurricanes, hitting that island, trying to say, FBAs are being rude, that are going to motels and hotels, about getting their plates and, getting the kind of service, that they were supposed to get, and that's nonsense, because come to find out, the people that were complaining, from what I'm hearing, they weren't even FBAs, they were their fellow Caribbean tethers, you know what I mean? And they trying to dump that focus and put the blame on the FBAs, and they were making, crazy allegations, about FBAs before, this all took place, from what brother Tariq Nasheed was saying, you know what I mean? So it's just a bunch of nonsense, you know what I mean? And them trying to scapegoat, what's going on to us. They love to, make foundational Black Americans the target of everything. And, we ain't going for that, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't no damn FBAs over there complaining. It was their fellow Caribbean tethers, you know what I mean? And FBA, just stay clear of that. You could travel where you want. I ain't telling you what to do, but just, stay away from, going to these places, like Jamaica and stuff like that, because these people got a bug up their asses, they'll show affinity, and kiss the ground white folks walk on, and try to, always demonize and put things on us. And that's that tether mindset of wanting to have, proximity to whiteness, you know what I mean? They got a white supremacist mindset, though, truth be told. A lot of them kiss the ground white folks walk on, you know what I mean? And always want to try to condemn FBA society, you know what I mean? And they want to say, stay out of their country, stay out of the damn USA, the land that FBA's built, you know what I mean? If you want to play that game, because y'all don't control nothing. We know we under global white supremacy, but at least foundational Black Americans, we can go and move as we want to in our own country, the United States of America. From what I'm hearing, they got beaches and stuff over there that them Jamaicans can't even go to, that white people dominate and control. White people live in the better part of the land and, segregate the blacks off in the little, enclaves, while they riding high on the hog. So they don't address that and, want to address us. They punctified and cowardice, them damn tethers is cowardice. They take up the mind of these white supremacists, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to touch on that. But I'm gonna be moving over here to TikTok and show you, we different than these people. We don't operate, we don't take nothing from the white supremacists. These tethers, they lay docile and dormant. They don't address no white supremacy. They look to, to have white acceptance, you know what I mean? And that's just something we foundational Black Americans, we ain't never on that type of time. We don't let white supremacists come and run amok and, do whatever old willy-nilly to us. We're the only ones as foundational Black Americans that keep the white supremacists in check, from not running roughshod on everybody. You know what I mean? So I want to talk about this, nonsense to where though this white man in Kenya was blowing his nose on a Kenyan police officer and guard, and he just took that, on some punctified cowardice tether nonsense, and that ain't never us FBA's disposition. A white supremacist, roll up on us all willy-nilly like that, he gonna catch a, face full of knuckles, a knuckle sandwich, playing with an FBA brother like that, and be lucky if he, he ain't stomped out. But that's let me get to that, family. Let me pull that up. Lord child. I hope all of my FBA brothers and sisters come wealthy and we all spread the wealth. I'm going for my part. I hope every year as much as I can with money to help with the bills, etc. FBA B1. Salute to my brother, Lord Childs. Salute and peace. You know what I mean? And salute to the rest of the FBA family for tapping in. But let me grab up this video real quick. Yeah, we gotta help, our FBA brothers and sisters, because if we don't, no one else will. We gotta depend on one another, and that's a part of, being on code, looking out for your fellow brothers and sisters. That's a part of being on code, doing business with each other, loving on one another. If you see an FBA brother or sister being done some, kind of harm, ride for your brother or sister. You know what I mean? I make it a point. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to no FBA brother or sister in front of me. I wish I would even see a race soldier trying to, beat down on a brother or sister in front of me. I'm in that, no questions asked. A lot of other these tether groups, they see white supremacy, but they're afraid to address it because they punctified in cowardice. They take a knee to they bow to white supremacy. We never bow. We was never broken by white supremacy. We got a spirit based on resistance, fighting injustice and oppression, never fleeing. If it wasn't for, our fight as foundational Black Americans, none of these melanated damn, tethers they even be over here. They would have still, kept slavery if our FBA ancestors wasn't fighting injustice and oppression, because the white supremacists was never, trying to remove slavery, but they was forced to remove it because of our fighting spirit as foundational Black Americans. But let me show you how punctified and cowardice these tethers are, And I had to pull one of my brother's videos over here on TikTok. So he's gonna be talking a little bit, but I'm gonna try to cut it to just show you, you know what I mean? The scenario where the white supremacist blew his nose on this Kenyan guard. The Kenyan guard just sits there like he don't even, know what the hell is going on. And that's punctified and cowardice, because really what that white supremacist was saying was, I don't give a damn about you. You know what I mean? You're nothing to me. You know what I mean? I'll have my way with you and you're going to sit there and absorb it. You know what I mean? And that's a bunch of nonsense, but it shows you the cowardice mindset of these tethers. You know what I mean? Fair use, fair use. I'm going to rewind that, family. Did y'all just see that? And then, he came down on it to say F you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do this to you and what? You know what I mean? And he just sitting there looking off to the distance, like nothing ever happened. I wish that would have been a foundational Black American brother or sister. He wouldn't have been leaving there walking. I'll just say that, and that would have been the best scenario for him, to leave there not walking. That would have been the best scenario. But, you know, um, we ain't on that kind of time to just let these white supremacists, come around and run roughshod. We stand up to injustice and oppression. We face it, you know what I mean? And we're the only people that gives white supremacists the resistance, you know what I mean? Other groups become coward and docile. These Latinos, these Africans, these Jamaicans, you name it. They take a damn knee and, bow down to racism, white supremacy, and that's why nothing ever gets fixed in their homeland because they too busy, running from white supremacy when they got to stand up and face it. If everybody runs, the system don't get knocked down. Somebody got to stand up and say, nah, I'm not taking this BS, and we going to stand up and fight. Look at this.
And y'all want to sit here and say that we are African American? There's not one black American I know in the whole entire America that would accept this bullshit from a white man, bro.
And my brother's absolutely right. We would have beat the hell out of that white tea supremacist. You know what I mean? Us foundational black Americans, we stand 10 toes down, we stand on business, and we don't let, white supremacists disrespect us in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And I just put out a video a little bit ago. It's getting a good amount of views to where though a white supremacist, suspect came in the welfare office and an FBA brother asked him to leave kindly and politely. He wouldn't, uh, adhere to our brother's demands. So our brother had to put them FBA hands on him and show him who's really the boss, that FBA security guard. So if that would have been, an FBA guard or police officer, that white supremacist would have left out with a leg or two broken, some arms or something broken. That white supremacist wouldn't have left out of there for sure as hell walking on 2 feet. You know what I mean? He might have, had to crawl up out of there. You know what I mean? Because we don't take that kind of abuse from the white supremacists. That's why delineation is important because, people will see that and they'll think that that speaks to the magnitude of all black society. And we, foundational black Americans, we operate under, a spirit of resistance that's embedded in our DNA. We don't be punctified and cowardice to no damn white supremacists. You know what I mean? But moving right along. I want to show y'all 2 FBA brothers out here really standing on FBA reparations business. Some people, some of the family over here on TikTok, send me this. So I just wanted to touch on it. Now, this is a brother, I think he's in New York. He's standing on FBA reparations business, and telling the truth, pointing out if you were, immigrated to this country, you know what I mean? You ain't got no say so in FBA reparations, you know what I mean? And we don't even want you guys speaking up for us because most of the time, even if you melanated, if you ain't of the lineage, you'll get out here and say some nonsense. Oh, we don't need reparations, this, that, and the other, when you ain't even entitled to reparation. You fled to this country, even the white folks. And this brother out here really standing on, FBA reparations business and calling it like it is. So I just wanted to touch on this. Fair use. If it plays.
If you could introduce yourself at the microphone.
My name on the joint is Mike Blackman.
Okay, thank you.
You got me?
Yes.
All right, hello, good evening, everyone.
Salute to the brother Mike Blackman for standing on FBA business, and if you're new to the channel, family, make sure you like and, subscribe to the channel, you know what I mean? Because I'm always, standing on lineage business. If this plays.
Blackman.
Okay, thank you.
You got me?
Yes.
All right, hello, good evening, everybody. If everybody, including the commissioners, could do me a favor, if you, your parents, and or your grandparents immigrated from somewhere, please raise your hand. Anyone on the commission, ma'am, raise your hand, please. Immigrated.
People trying not to raise their hand because they're afraid, to acknowledge, where they come from. You know what I mean? And that's nonsense. You know what I mean? They shouldn't even be on no reparations panel to where though they speaking on anything that should be going on in FBA society. Because even if they melanated, they ain't entitled to it. So they automatically, oh, we don't need reparations, this, that, or the other. Why don't you stop complaining? Pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. And we FBAs always pulled ourselves up. You know what I mean? The problem is the white supremacists come and try to sabotage, any, upward mobility that we make collectively. You know what I mean? So they can miss me with that. They ain't got no business even being on reparations panels and boards.
came from somewhere else.
And we got to start making sure that, as an FBA collective, that we going to, if it's in our city, even if it ain't, we attending these, reparations, meetings. I'm gonna start personally attending some of these, you know what I mean, to make sure, we got all the wording correct and everything is right and exact. Most of these immigrants haven't had or understand what a Black American movement is. They don't know about the resistant spirit, that they can't relate to us because they come from a fleeing background. You know what I mean? When the going gets tough, the default programming of a tether, even if they melanated, is to flee, and that never been, our disposition as FBAs. We always fought systematic racism, white supremacy.
No, ma'am, don't project that onto me. Pardon me. Quiet, please. You're taking up my time. Pardon me. So, ma'am, raise your hand, please.
She don't want to raise her hand.
All right, so we have one lady that's part of the commission that for some reason is ashamed of her heritage. And that's, ma'am.
That's the real.
Reparations isn't a remedy for racism. Reparations is a debt that's owed from slavery. Reparations is more than a check. But the very first thing it is a check. And
they really got to cut the check for reparations. We give a damn about how people feel, this, that, and the other. People want to say, stop begging, this, that, or the other. It ain't begging, it's a debt owed, you know what I mean? And they like to say, well, use FBAs or squander the money, you'll spend it on rims, sneakers. If we FBAs, would have spent it on that, they would have been gave it, you know what I mean? But the problem is they know that we're going to build up the Black communities, have businesses to where though we supporting one another, and having that kind of economic power, and us supporting one another, it'll put out a lot of these, white supremacist business out of business, you know what I mean? Because we'll be directly supporting one another and keep all of that money consolidated in our community. So they know we ain't going to squander the money. That's their fear, that we do get reparations, because they know we'll build and collectively will have that massive leg up, and FBAs will be running, in all actuality. Once we get that, we'll be in charge and calling the shots, you know what I mean? And we'll directly have the financial backing to push racist white supremacists, out of the way, you know what I mean? And we'll be, collectively, having that economic base and power that, we need, to get things done, because we know how to build as foundational Black Americans. We just collectively need to get that, financial stronghold, and not just a few of us, but, the masses of FBAs. All FBAs need to have that financial, back into where though we can really make power moves and push these racist white supremacists out the way.
Goes to the living descendant survivors of slavery here in what we now call the United States of America. I need you commissioners to have the same energy for us, for our lineage, that you have for these illegals that come over here with $0 in their pocket, no shoes on their feet, and then within 24 hours, they got Jordans, the newest cell phone with the watch to match. So I need you to have the same energy.
That part, I got a friend that used to work at the welfare office, and she straight up told me that when these immigrants come over here, melanated immigrants and these Latino immigrants, they roll the red carpet out for them. They give them thousands of dollars, worth of, cash assistance, EBT, this, that, and the other, which is a bunch of nonsense. And you got foundational Black Americans, brothers and sisters that worked all of their life, that, are out here suffering, and they ain't, giving us, our just due, and reparations. If they give, every foundational Black American our just due what's owed, FBA society as a whole, we'd be all right. You know what I mean? We're going to be all right, regardless. But, that'll help us, collectively get that leg up and stronghold. You know what I mean? And, that's why I'm hearing also that, side note, you know what I mean? I'm not going, focus on this too long, but that's also why I'm hearing that the government is shut down, because the damn, Democratic plantation want to, give all of the EBT, assistance to, all of these damn foreign fleeing tethers, and, the Republican Party don't want to, but to me, they both wings off the same bird. So, I give a damn about either of them. You know what I mean? I'm concerned about, who's producing tangibles for FBA society. And until that's done, I ain't voting for either party.
for us, because you don't have them doing a million studies and commissions all over the city and state. You don't have studies and commission all over the city and state when it's time to give millions, billions, and trillions to Israel. Netanyahu, he's setting up drones. My man right here, he got a drone. But Netanyahu, he has guns and bombs on the drones, and they're killing people out there. Y'all don't have studies and commissions when it comes to send money to Netanyahu. Y'all don't have studies and commissions when it comes to send money to Ukraine and all this other stuff. So stop playing with our money. Get us our money. And if the language isn't right, everyone get one of these papers. It takes 2 to 3 minutes to fill out the QR codes, and it'll help disaggregate the information and the language and get everything right. And Kathy Hochul, I know you're listening. If you don't give me my money, I'm gonna land right there.
Thank you.
Salute to that FBA brother. Now I got another FBA brother standing on, reparations lineage business. Fair use.
Up immigrants to our detriment.
Randall
Robinson up immigrants to our detriment. Randall Robinson, founder of Trans-Africa Advocacy.
Hold on, family. Having a little bit
up immigrants to our detriment.
What the hell? Hold on, family. I'm gonna get it. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty with it.
Up immigrants to our detriment.
Randall
Robinson, founder of Trans-Africa.
Hold on, family. Don't want to start from the beginning. Hold on, family. Just a second. What the hell's going on with it? What's wrong with this video, man? I might not be able to play this one, family.
Our detriment. Randall Robinson, founder of immigrants to our detriment.
Yeah, I might not be able to play that one, family. It's giving me too much technical difficulty, and I ain't even gonna fight with it. But the long and short of it is that brother, stand on, FBA reparations lineage business. You know what I mean? So I wanted to, show that, but the video ain't trying to cooperate with me. That's why I hate, showing these TikTok videos sometimes, because they don't cooperate. Truth be told. Let me see what's going on in the comment section. FBA about drawing a line in the sand. Third power reparations for this revolution. These immigrants run from their problems and nations only to come here. Trash talk about the very people that helped them. Yeah, you're right, family. The tethers, they flee and then want to point the finger at us in FBA society. But damn, I wish I could have showed this video, man. It doesn't want to cooperate.
Up immigrants to our detriment.
Yeah, I'm through with it, family. He stood on business, though. You know what I mean? And it's not trying to cooperate with me enough so that I could play it. So we're going to move right off of that. And I'm going to be moving on to, the last video I wanted to bring to the family. Let me find where it's at, my notes. Let me get off of TikTok and go back to YouTube. That's disappointing, though, that it wouldn't cooperate with me. Damn, that's disappointing. I really wanted to show that. But it is what it is. It ain't gonna stop nothing. The show must go on. Shit. Here we go. Let me see. Here we go.
This is somebody trying to get some attention, family. This is the problem.
Because everybody knows me.
Might be my computer glitching. Oh, what the hell's going on? Yeah, family, I want to talk about our brother Tariq Nasheed, going over there to TikTok. He was heating folks up left and right on TikTok, bringing the smoke to these, fleeing foreign tethers, and you got one of these tethers by the name of Earth Speaks, who ain't nothing more than a babbling, Caribbean tether. He tried to, backdoor tether onto the lineage, and brother Tariq Nasheed shut it all the way down to where though they was supposed to have a debate, and he ran from the debate. You know what I mean? He came in there with hostile female energy anyway. You know what I mean? Talking some the Caribbean is Haiti is a part of America, the United States of America, which is a bunch of nonsense, you know what I mean? And that we as foundational Black Americans, we trying to undermine the whole indigenous thing, while we FBAs, have some indigenous, in us, along with, you know, uh, the two groups that make up a foundational Black American is essentially what I'm trying to say is, you know, the Africans that was taken from over there, and the indigenous people that were already here. But the part that I emphasize is the ethnogenesis, that we had here in America, and we became a new group, which is foundational Black Americans. So you got some indigenous over there that are, they're tethers, and just trying to, backdoor into the lineage by claiming that, some, people from Jamaica and Haiti, were taken over here during the 1700 and enslaved, you know what I mean? So that makes, them a part of the lineage. And that, for sure as hell don't make them a part of the lineage, because we had an ethnogenesis. That's why I don't, use the term indigenous or anything else but a foundational Black American, because it's so air Trump tight that, it can't be, remixed or co-opted, you know what I mean? And he was trying to say that, Haitians ain't no immigrants to the United States of America, which is a lie and couldn't be further from the truth. And that Tether Earth Speaks also, hopped into my comment section, frustrated, mad, and disgruntled, about us representing the FBA lineage. You know what I mean? See, the Pan Africans, along with some of the indigenous, people that, want to represent that, whatever you want to represent, that's on you. But when you call, come into, FBA spaces, you got to respect, what's going down. You got to respect our lineage. You know what I mean? Because and you ain't gonna sit up and tell no lies about the lineage and try to backdoor into the lineage, claiming some, that Haitians are a part of the United States. That's a bogus, lie, and couldn't be further from the truth. Because if that was, then why the hell do they gotta immigrate here? You know what I mean? So I don't like that aspect, because you got some Pan Africanists and people that want to rap indigenous, getting mad with FBA lineage. You know what I mean? When we just telling the truth, both of them make up a foundational Black American, but the part I emphasize is being a foundational Black American and us having an ethnogenesis, which happened over here on American soil. We're our own group, and we got to watch the back door from some of these people that are trying to rep indigenous, because they come from the Caribbean and Haiti, and just trying to, tether themselves on the FBA lineage, like this Tether Earth Speaks, but I got the audio and the video of our brother Tariq Nasheed over there on TikTok, slaying these people left and right. And that Tether Earth Speaks ain't nothing more than a babbling tether. And he just mad that, our brother Tariq Nasheed over there, speaking truth to power, and his little bit of money is drying up, because brother Tariq Nasheed out there, spitting the real, because when you talk the real, a lie can't stand up against the authentic truth. That lie, people don't want to hear that. When something real come around, it'll just wipe that out the water. So I got the audio and the video of our brother Tariq Nasheed over there, giving the smoke to this Tether Earth Speaks, who ain't nothing more than a lying, babbling Caribbean tether, always up in FBA business and affairs, and telling lies that Haitians are a part of, the United States. And we're going to walk through and talk about this thing, family. Fair use. Let me turn my volume up. Here we go.
In the chat. He's in there. I've seen him. And,
okay, just hit the request.
Yeah. Who you wanna? It's up to you. Who you wanna drop for him?
Let me see. We're gonna get sir. You said you had a question for Tariq with the maroon thing. We're gonna let you ask your question. Then we're gonna.
I don't give a damn if folks want to be Pan-Africanists, if they are even repping indigenous, because like I said, we got indigenous people, in the lineage as well. We had some Africans taken over here as well, but the ethnogenesis happened over here on American soil, which makes us foundational Black Americans. And you could be whatever the hell you want to be, but when you come to lying and and trying to backdoor into the lineage, that's where the problem lies for me. And I'm gonna shut that down quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Drop you.
Yeah. I just wanted to make it quick. So on the FBA website, I know the flag is for purchase, but I was just wondering if Tariq, if you're ever going to be able to also put the maroon flag up too, because I would like to have that as well. There were some few people that I know who was interested in also flying the maroon flag as well, and we just want to know, you have that out for sale yet?
I'll look into that. I'm not looking at the site now, but I'll look into it.
Okay.
That's why I love the term foundational Black Americans. It's because it's so air and Trump tight that people can't remix it and co-opt it and find their way into the lineage. It's exclusive, and that's why people getting frustrated because it's leaving them outside ass naked and they can't find a place amongst us foundational Black Americans no more. They got to hold their own nuts, and I love it. But let's continue.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right, so I'm going to bring them up. I just want to kind of set the pace on the ground rules. This is going to be a respectful, engagement. There's going to be none of that grunt stuff you did earlier. That was kind of weird. So let's just keep it respectful. That's all we asking over here. And I'm gonna bring them up now. And after I hit you up with some gifts for earlier. Sorry, I had a little delay earlier, so that's why I apologize for that.
Okay, all right. It's all love. It's all love.
Oh, hold on. So for some reason, it's doing this switch thing. I'll bring you back up, Simon.
That Babylon Tether Earth Speaks came in the room moist, you know what I mean? Mad, frustrated, and disgruntled. We didn't even let Brother Tariq Nasheed comment one damn word before he went into, being, soft, moist, and start babbling like a damn typical Tether does. But let's continue.
It's doing the switch thing.
TikTok does that a lot. It switches.
And he start pocket watching our brother, talking about you be on Vlad TV, this, that, and the other, just mad because, his bag is drying up. And I see a narrative to where as though these damn tethers want to tell Brother Tariq Nasheed, well, you make money off of FBAs. You're supposed to make money off your people. If you standing up and got a history of being, an advocate and a real fighter for the lineage, you're supposed to make money off your people. You know what I mean? Because if we don't support our own riders, who the hell will? You know what I mean? So that's, a bogus, narrative that a hater want to push, that you out here making money off your people. We supposed to make money off our damn people, especially if we got a history of looking out and riding for our people. Our people should be the first ones supporting us. But let's continue.
I don't know. That's weird.
Names.
Yeah, I clicked his name and it switched. Hold on. Yeah, it did it again. There you go.
Okay.
That should be it right.
So let's just let him go. Let him go, everybody. You got it, Earth.
Hold on. You want me to try to say something now?
Go ahead.
I don't want to get blocked.
That Earth Speak is a Caribbean tether trying to backdoor the lineage and attach Jamaicans and Haiti, claiming some indigenous, and that they were brought over here, this, that, and the other, and just because, a few Haitians and, Jamaicans might have been brought over here during slavery, in the 1700s, then people had an ethnogenesis. They now become foundational Black Americans. So stop with the nonsense,
Blocked or something.
Wait, let's let Tariq is not here. Let's wait for Tariq to come.
Don't run now.
Okay, Tariq's here. Go ahead.
I'm here. Okay, hold on. Please don't take my camera off though, because I want to provide some receipts, because that's what I do when I go to talk. I don't like to just talk.
He ain't got no receipts. That man's a performative babbling tether.
I like to provide the documents to prove what I'm saying. Oh. So, but I have a couple simple questions, because I see that y'all is trying to undermine the Aboriginal movement. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, because you said that
they frustrated because that bag drying up, when you out here spewing lies, that can't stand up against the truth, you know what I mean? And, that's why I just rep FBA lineage, because, with the Aboriginal thing, too many people could tether on to that. It's been remixed and co-opted. You got so many damn $5 Indians, this, that, and the other.
Our lineage in the Americas goes back to Africa, right?
Some. And there are Aboriginal people here who were Black.
One moment, guys. So you said Americas. Are you including the Caribbean in this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there you go.
Because
he's trying to backdoor Caribbeans into the United States of America, and that's a bunch of nonsense. We got our own specific lineage over here, and them people for sure as hell ain't a part of America, because they got to immigrate. They got to go through, becoming a United States citizen, taking an oath, this, that, and the other.
Because the real scholars of this knowledge know that the kings lived in the islands and controlled the mainland from the islands.
That's plebiscite babble, plebiscite babble at its finest.
Another thing that this man is doing is disenfranchising us from the people in the islands. But you can look up King Philip's War, and it very clearly shows that the people in the islands were taken from the north, brought into the islands, changed into Christianity, and then brought back around the land.
Slow down. Who's disenfranchising who from what?
Well, I mean, that basically, when you say that the Haitians, who are the Arawat people, that means the children of the sun, and I know you don't really know the cultures. You're not really a scholar of this stuff. You're just making up stuff as we go along up here.
See, he's the moist tether taking jabs. He ain't even let our brother Tariq Nasheed speak 2 sentences before he start plebiscite babbling.
But
I haven't even said nothing.
So are you basing?
I haven't even talked.
I want to have a scholarly discussion with you.
But you just made an accusation.
Let's let him go.
And like I said, dude hopped in one of my, TikTok videos, speaking a bunch of nonsense, mad and frustrated that we represent in our FBA lineage.
One moment.
Okay, you just made, I haven't even said nothing.
A little bit long.
I haven't even said nothing.
I'm going to ask you a question. Are you basing that we have African lineage?
1 minute. I'm trying to make sure Tariq is heard. Tariq, you sound a little bit low.
Okay, can you guys hear me? We good?
That's better. That's better. Yeah.
Earth, hold
Good
on 1 second.
Family, Hampton. Shout out to Hampton.
Can you just calm down and just, if you got a question, because you doing all this passive aggressive stuff. I haven't said nothing. You're like, well, you don't know nothing. You ain't got the knowledge. You calm all that down, bro. Talk to me like a man. Don't do all that feminine bullshit. Just talk, bro. I don't know you. I don't know anything about you, brother. I don't even know why you mad, all right? Because you've been, I don't know if you've been mad at me for whatever, and you've imagined that we've got some kind of relationship. You're a stranger. I don't know why you hostile. You already worked up and making false accusations. I haven't even said anything. See, you leading people astray, but don't do that. I'm here. Just talk to me about what we're talking about now. I don't know you.
Work up here.
I don't know what your ideology is, brother. I don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest.
So I'm going to break it down.
Let's do this. Let's do this, because I'm not going to have no bad faith argument. What's your real issue you have with me personally?
Shout out to the family.
Let's stop this bullshit, because now you plebiscite babbling. What issue do you have with me?
Question, you got to allow me to answer you.
Okay, I'm asking you, because you talking.
All right, well, allow me to answer you, though.
The king of Haiti was, and you don't know about the king of Haiti. We ain't doing that.
That's plebiscite babble, bad faith arguments, trying to, backdoor and attach Haitians and Jamaicans, the whole damn Caribbean on our FBA lineage. And we ain't gonna let that fly in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Saying that the Haitians are different and that they are immigrants to North America and all of that is bull crap. That's a lie.
How are they not immigrants?
Because the Arawat people are the same people, just like the Taino.
Then why do they have to immigrate here?
See, right, you're not even letting me.
Why do they have to immigrate here?
See, you can't even explain it. Why do they got to go through a legal process of immigrating here, if they are citizens? This man is a performative tether, you know what I mean? Just babbling to hear himself talk.
Yes, right now, because I'm going to.
No, you're not going to. Why do Haitians have to immigrate here then?
First of all, that's not immigration. When you're coming from the islands to the mainland, that's something that Caucasians made up, and you're perpetuating. You're helping them.
People having to come here.
How do you get here? Then how do you get deported? Then why do they get deported?
The Haitians are the Arawat people. The word Arawat.
Then why do they have to immigrate here?
You want me to answer, or do you want to just keep
because you just plebiscite babbling?
Well, okay, no, because I actually know the real histories, and I'm
no, you don't, sir. This is jail babble. This is
I agree with brother Tariq Nasheed on that. That's jail babble, where people just sitting around, shooting the shit, lying to one another just to pass the time, and that's exactly what that tether, Earth Speaks is doing, plebiscite babbling at its finest.
You're just saying shit.
I have the documents to prove what I'm saying. I have the documents to prove this is what I do for a living.
You are a tether.
Okay. All right. So let's. Okay. So
you're
let me ask you a couple questions.
You're a babbling tether. You're just saying shit for attention.
What are you basing?
You were just saying shit.
We have African lineage on. What are you basing?
You're just saying shit.
I want to know. I'm asking you a question.
You're not even. I'm not going to.
It's in my own lineage. I know. It's in my own lineage. I'm a Dunbar. We have castles in Antigua, which is in the islands.
You're just saying stuff.
Castles in the mainland.
See, he said he got people in Antigua. He ain't nothing but a Antigua tether, you know what I mean? Trying to backdoor in the FBA lineage and claim some, Haitians and Jamaicans ain't no damn, foreigners to the United States of America. He don't even make no sense.
So I'm not just babbling. This is in my own genealogy.
You're not making any sense.
You're a liar. You're a liar, dude. You're a liar.
You just want attention, sir.
Man, listen, listen, I've changed the earth, homeboy. I'm the only person in human history to ever translate any Olmec stuff.
Is this dude on crack? Is it crack?
Our brother Tariq Nasheed just keep on bringing him the smoke so much so that he just taps out. He'll drop out after a while because he realized that the babbling, mush mouth tether babble that he's spewing, ain't getting nowhere when, facing the truth, because whenever you put a lie up against the truth, it'll get debunked quick, fast, and in a hurry.
You haven't done anything like that.
This is crap.
You're on Vlad TV. You're on there.
One moment.
See, now he pocket watching. You on Vlad TV just mad because our brother Tariq Nasheed out here moving and shaking and doing things in all actuality that he can't do. But let's continue.
Because we can't say certain words.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
Wait. Oh, go ahead, Tariq.
I'm sorry. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but this is plebiscite babble. This is just somebody trying to get attention. This is somebody trying to get some attention, family. This is the problem.
Because everybody knows me.
Nobody knows you.
Probably some dude that never had no attention in his life that come to the internet, you know what I mean, and use that as an opportunity to spew his lies.
Dude?
Yeah, dude. At the end of the day,
you just saying anything. Everybody knows who I am. You're just saying shit. I ain't about to argue with this fool.
Yeah, dude.
Right. No,
Haiti is a different country, dude. At the end of the day.
Answer the question.
Here's the thing. Tariq, let me say this to him. If you are Caribbean and Tariq is talking about FBA heritage, you are not included in that statement. Right. You are not foundational to this land.
That sister's right. If you Caribbean or anywhere else in the world, you're not foundational to this land. You're not a foundational Black American. Stop trying to backdoor the lineage, through that Aboriginal. That's why I like the term, foundational Black Americans, because it's air Trump tight. Nobody can infiltrate it.
We're not doing the 13 colonies. We're not doing Pan-American Indianism. When we say American Indian, we are talking about those in the United States of America, and I ain't calling it the mainland.
Yes, yeah. Haiti is a different nation. That's the thing. What is wrong with you? You don't understand.
This guy talking about they don't have to immigrate here. Okay, if you're saying stuff like that, I ain't got nothing to talk about because you're just saying shit. You saying Haitians don't have to immigrate here? That's a lie. We ain't got nothing to talk about. You're just saying stuff. I don't waste my time like that.
All right. Well, that was the debate. Didn't make no. First off,
that tether, dropped out once he realized that his babbling lies, mush mouth babbling lies was getting nowhere, because it was ran up against the truth. And whenever, a lie comes in contact with the truth, it's going to get dissipated quick, fast, and in a hurry. But shout out and salute to our brother Tariq Nasheed for, standing on FBA business, you know what I mean? Because he catches a lot of, slack for, delineation, and, getting us to, be on code, because whether people like it or not, Tariq Nasheed played a big part in, a hand in, putting foundational Black Americans on code, and that's why, I, give our brother respect, you know what I mean? But, that tether earth speaks, you know what I mean? He ain't nothing more than a babbling Caribbean tether, trying to attach, Caribbeans onto, our foundational Black American lineage. And they got shut down quick, fast, and in a hurry, But, yeah, family, I ain't going to be on here. I'm about to get off of here, truth be told. I got to, handle some of my weekend errands, and if you're new to my channel, make sure you like and subscribe. I go live, every Saturday, I put out, at least I try to do it, all of the time I'm not, doing it, but I try to mostly, put out a video, every day of the week. Then I go live on Saturday. So, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, and stay tapped in with me, family, and have a safe, blessed weekend, and be aware out there because it's a lot of nonsense going on, and to be aware is to be alive. Peace.